My name's Graham Bromley and I'm the lead level designer on Grid 2. As you said, Grid 1 was such an exceptional game and we really wanted to make this one better. And you know, at the time that Grid came out, there were a lot of technology that we wanted to put in that just didn't exist, and it took a lot of time to get to the point where we felt confident that we actually had something that was taking the series forward, rather than just churning out the same thing. To be honest, it was a really difficult decision to have to make that one. I mean, almost everybody in the dev studio also really loved that camera, and if there had been any way that we could have kept it in and still delivered the range of features and the great experience that we've delivered, we would have done it. And you know, I know the guys are working really hard right up until, you know, very recently to try and find out if there was any way that we could get it all to work together, and just unfortunately there isn't. So, based off the data that, you know, that relatively few people raced in it permanently, and given the other features we would have had to lose to try and get it in, I think it's sad to say, but it was the right decision. Well, something we want to do is create interesting challenges for the players. So some of the driving force will be there to try and find experiences that the players haven't had before. And then at the same time, we also want to give tracks that people will know and be able to be fairly comfortable with. So we've managed to put together a nice mix. I mean, the Algarve circuit that you saw yesterday, relatively unknown. I don't think many other games have featured that at all. So, but it's got an awesome flow of corners. There's really great undulation on there, and it's quite challenging in places. So that was something we really wanted to get in, a little bit like in Grid 1, where we had the Harama track, which, you know, was a 1970s F1 track. Not many people were still currently aware of it, so that was really well received when it went into Grid 1, and Algarve is kind of filling that role in Grid 2, alongside, you know, better known circuits like the Red Bull Ring and Brands Hatch, and of course Indianapolis. You can do, but I mean, that's one of the reasons why we've added the improved collision detection and improved player rating, collision ratings. So over time, you know, if you're one of these players that's constantly driving into the back of people because you're always late on the braking, your collision rating will move into the red, and then through the custom event system, you'll be able to, if you want to race clean, you can set yourself up a server where only players with a very clean collision rating can take part. And that way you can try and make sure that you're actually in sessions where people aren't disturbing your racing experience. They're actually competing fairly and cleanly. And you know, the reverse is true. There are players who actually like to get a little bit physical in the corners, and you know, you can set yourself up a server where you're looking for people who have quite a high collision rating, you know, where there will be a lot of contact and paint trading going on. So that's something, you know, that wasn't available in the original Grid and is now available, so that should help. Well, it was really so that we could focus on the two different elements. I mean, the single player narrative is really very strong, and we wanted that single player experience to have that strong narrative. And at the same time, we didn't want to have to make any compromises with the on-track experience that we're having in the multiplayer. So it just made sense to kind of separate them out slightly and allow you to have different progressions. I mean, there are also some players who don't particularly like having to play through a single player, who just want to jump on and play constantly with their friends. And it seemed quite harsh to penalise them in a way that they wouldn't necessarily be able to unlock things unless they went through the single player. So by having the two separate progression systems, it's entirely flexible what part of the game you want to play, in which order, and how far you want to go through each arc. Grid 2 is released on the 31st of May on Xbox 360, PS3 and PC.